Stop waiting for your manifestation to arrive, guys. This is what this video is going to be about. This video is going to be covering what you should be doing in the in-between from point A, point B, right? But there's a little middle, right? And that's the part where I want to talk about. It's more so the mental diet and what we do within ourselves, right? And this video I know is going to help a lot of people. I know it's going to make things click for some people. And I'm so excited to see the comments where you guys are like, oh my God, it clicked, right? So that being said, I hope you guys enjoy this video. And before I get into it, as you already know, embodythestate.com. If you need any form of guidance at all, feel free to go over there, book a session with me, email, doesn't matter. You know, of course, the one-on-one calls is the fastest way to get my attention. As you already know, I have, as small as I am, I'm in demand, right? And for me, I'm not surprised. It's based on my inner world. You know, I understand that I teach at a level that's not only understandable, but I've read so many things and studied so many things for years. Of course, a lot of people want to just grab at that information, right? And that's what it's for. If you can't afford it, don't worry about it, guys. You do not need to spend money. I don't need your money. It's only if you can afford it. And if not, please just get a notebook and listen. That being said, let's get into the topic, guys. So what you guys do from when you begin techniques, right, in order to get something, and then you receive it. There's obviously all the space in the middle, correct? So in the middle, a lot of us will do a technique and it's fresh in our minds, right? Okay, I do the technique and I got to trust my inner world and do this and that. But then something will happen with your eyeballs. Like you'll see something with your eyes, right? And by the way, when I say you see something with your eyes, it's just referring to your 3D, by the way, okay? So you see something with your eyes and then it's kind of bothering you. But then you're also looking for the movement, right? You are looking for the validation. You are looking for either the SP to text you. You're looking for some bridge that leads you to the money that you want or the career or the car, whatever it is, right? You're kind of noticing it's not there yet, right? You've done the techniques, but then you see something that bothers you. But then afterwards, you're still looking for, the validation, right? And that thing that bothered you has been on your head or at least bothering you more than once. In other words, it's returning. When you're manifesting anything, a lot of people get into this habit where they're waiting, right? They'll do techniques and then they'll sit there and then they'll just look around. And then they'll be like, it's not here, or this thing got worse. Or they'll notice something that kind of didn't work out in a way that they wanted, even if it's not related to their goal, I should say. They'll still focus on a negative. And that's the mistake a lot of people are making. We focus too much on the negative, guys. If you want to change anything in your 3D life, right, in this physical world that seems all so real to us, you have to understand that it is your inner world that you have to prioritize. Does it make sense knowing that what you will experience in the future is based on what you're doing today? And does it make sense now that if knowing this, you're going to see something with your eyes, in other words, in your 3D, right? And if you've watched my videos or you've worked with me, you know what the 3D is, right? It's the past, right? It's the old you. It's your old dominant assumptions / beliefs, right? So when you realize that you're looking at something that bothers you, and I know all of you have heard at least once, at least for me, that thing that you're staring at is literally the past, right? It doesn't have to be permanent forever. It doesn't mean it's going to be your present and your future moving forward forever. No, it's you're looking at something that you created that had to go through the time delay and then it arrived. And when we look at that thing that we created, even if we don't know how we created it, right? For me personally, I just accept like, okay, if this thing's bothering me, oops, sorry about that. I almost just dropped my damn tripod. So if something's bothering me and I'm looking at it, right? And knowing what I know how foolish it is to sit there and look at that thing and be like, I'm a victim. Why is the thing that I want not happening, right? I understand that my awareness on that is creating more lack. In other words, more experiences of me to sit there and go, why is it not working? Why is it not here? And I'm just waiting for it to arrive, right? And that's the problem. We're all waiting for something to change, right? But you don't realize it's when you're thinking of your desire and you're waiting for it, right? That's not the best way to go about it, because waiting in the sense of, I did things to get something and now it's like I'm looking for it. That's the waiting I don't want you guys doing. The waiting that's okay to do is you do the techniques and you understand that when you're in the mood to do it and your desire pops in your head, you fulfill yourself, right? And that's fine. And you know that it's going to come. You don't know when it's going to come. You don't know how it's going to come, but you just know it's going to come. And that waiting that comes from that understanding is completely fine, because you're not going to sit there in that knowing that it's guaranteed to come and understanding how the mechanics of the law of assumption work. And then you're not going to be sitting there feeling lack and identifying with not having it and feeling hopeless, right? Compared to the other example where someone does a technique to get something, they notice the 3D goes bad, or the opposite, or just something bothers them, and then now they're focused on the problem, as opposed to the other person who is instead focusing on, I know what I need to do, I know how the 3D works, I know what it is, I know that everyone is me pushed out, I understand that I have to change how I see things and see myself, and because I've been doing that, then there is nothing for me to fear. And if there's nothing for me to fear, then I can sit here understanding that it's all going to change. And it's that type of waiting that I want you guys to have. You have to return to that type of mentality, guys. I don't want you to go to, the mentality of, I listened to this random guy on YouTube or woman, doesn't matter, whoever you watch, right? And they inspired me, and now I'm going to do these techniques, and now I feel good for an hour, and then boom, something happens or doesn't happen, and you are aware of it, and you're either waiting for the circumstance to change, or you're, like, in other words, the bad thing that popped up, or you're waiting for, even if nothing bad happened, you're still waiting, you're sitting there, where is it? Where is it? Why is it not coming? Is today going to be the day? Is this even working? Does this doubt going to affect me? Does this assumption, is it going to ruin me? I'm telling you guys, it's your inner world that matters the most, but it's the meaning that you give it, right? When you realize that if I experience something in my inner world, in my imagination, and then I give it a good meaning, even if it's a bad thing that I experienced, then only the positive can come out of it, right? Think about it. If I'm experiencing, let's say, I see myself as a homeless person, right? Of course, that's not something I want to manifest, right? I don't want to manifest losing, my home and money and whatever else, right? But let's say I see myself imagining, I see myself as a homeless person. What's stopping me from pretty much viewing myself and feeling wealthy as I'm seeing that homeless version of myself, right? Like, I could look into my eyes, like with my eyes open right now, I could see a unvivid picture of myself, no money, homeless, right, broke. And even though I'm looking at it, I know that I don't have to feel broke. I know that I don't have to feel afraid. I know that I don't have to feel worried, right? Why? Because I understand that thing, even though I'm seeing it in my imagination, I can give it the meaning because that's my power. Do you understand, right? So when you realize you do that inside, but you're also supposed to be doing that on the outside, then it makes more sense. Because now, if I can see myself as a homeless person and suffering and living my worst life, but I don't feel like I'm living my worst life, I don't feel like I'm homeless, I don't feel broken, right? I don't feel anything other than neutrality, because I understand it's my job to not react to that, right? Because if I saw that picture in my mind and now I start fearing it, oh my God, it's going to happen. I hope I don't go broke. I hope, my business doesn't go under. I hope, like whatever else, any other financial stuff I have going on the side, right? And or I hope my YouTube channel doesn't get deleted, whatever it may be, it doesn't matter, right? If I start focusing on this stuff, then it's going to create it. But I can contemplate these negative things and not react to them and not give them power, not give them life, not give them water to grow. So it's the same concept, guys. When you guys are waiting for your 3D to change because it's so bad and you're feeling horrible about yourself and you're always reacting to the negative, you're not feeling any form of relief or gratitude, you're not even jumping into, at the very least, the knowing that it's already done, and you're just allowing the 3D to catch up, right? Because remember, it's a different way of waiting, right? One is sitting there waiting in a room full of chaos and is hoping for the best. And the other one is patiently waiting, understanding that everything has to catch up. And in the meanwhile it's catching up, they understand, just like I did with that homeless version of myself, I chose to understand that thing, I don't have to give it any power. I don't have to react to it. I don't have to identify with it. And if I could see myself in the worst possible light, if I could see myself homeless and broke, in rain and cold and freezing, and I could feel nothing. And by the way, if it's harder for you guys to not react to scary stuff, it's okay, guys. It takes a little bit of practice. And when I say a little bit, I mean a few days of consistent practice. I don't mean it takes years. I don't mean you have to read the books that I've read. It's none of that, guys. It's just a little bit of practice of understanding that those thoughts are not real right now. Like you're not experiencing them. So you don't have to fear them, right? It just understand it's a reality that you're looking into. And if you want to make that reality yours, you have to keep reacting to it. You have to keep, in other words, experiencing it within. You have to keep identifying with it, right? And a lot of people, they go from seeing a picture, they accept it, right? They'll feel good, they'll feel grateful, loved, whatever. And some people just jump into the knowing, right? Without any feeling. That's completely fine, right? But either way, whichever one you do, then you see something in your 3D that bothers you, or you start noticing no one texted you, or you start noticing that you got blocked. It's that moment right then and there. Just like I looked at that version of myself that was homeless, where I could have chosen to react. I could have chosen to be fearful of that ever happening to me. I could have chosen to feel bad about myself, but I didn't. Why? Because I understood the mechanics of the law. I return to them at all times. Whenever I start seeing something I don't like, I return to the mechanics of the law. I start looking at these things from the eyes of God or the creator or source, whatever you want to call it. But I make sure that when I am seeing things with my eyes, whether it's in my mind or out here, that I understand, I look at it just like I looked at myself when I was homeless in my mind, right? I understood I don't have to feel homeless. I don't have to react to that picture or that imaginal scene. I don't have to identify with it. What I can do is I can observe it. I can observe it from an unbiased, non-judgmental zone, from the eyes of God or the law, whatever you want to call it, right? So when I did that, I felt nothing. And of course, it's easy when you remind yourself consistently of these rules of how the law operates, right? So when you see those things, that block, the lack of messages, whatever it may be, you know, or maybe it's a promotion that you wanted that it looks like someone else is going to get it, whatever it may be, it doesn't matter. But it's what you do in that moment that matters the most. It's what you do in that time that it hits you like, oh crap, this is something I don't want to experience. That is the part that's going to make you or break you, guys. And that's why I don't want you guys waiting. I don't want you guys waiting in a waiting room of chaos. I want you guys waiting in peace. And when I say waiting, right, a lot of people think, oh, but if you're waiting for it, doesn't that mean that you don't have it? And if you don't have it, then you're implying that, like, in other words, you're saying you're not going to get it. Like, you're pretty much guaranteeing you don't get it. I'm just going to explain that it's true and it's false. It's true because it's true if you believe it, right? I know for a fact my consciousness is everything. My awareness is everything, right? So I'm not aware of that rule affecting me, right? And this goes back to, I'm sure you've heard so many other people say this, like, oh, you make your own rules and da-da-da. To an extent, they're right. To an extent, you don't make all the rules, but for the most part, yes. It's more so the meaning that you give, right? And I understand that if I'm not giving bad meaning, and I don't think I have to go through certain loopholes, because if you understand the law, it's very basic. There's just certain little rules that you don't really kind of mess around with, but the rest is really up to you, right? I just know that the 3D has a delay, right? I don't know if the delay is 24 hours. I don't know if it's going to be 3 days for me. I don't know if it's going to be a week or whatever, right? I just know that there's some form of delay of when I begin to when I receive it. And that's completely fine, right? And some people will say, oh, that's a limiting belief. You should just assume you get it instantly. Okay, go have fun manifesting instantly. Show me a video of you manifesting, $1 billion, thin air like that, okay? That being said, I understand there's a time delay, right? And when it comes to that little time delay, and like I said, I don't care if it's a day. I don't care if it's a week or a month. I personally don't expect things to come overnight out of thin air. Or sorry, not overnight. I mean like out of the sky, right? So if I'm manifesting money, I'm not like expecting, oh, it has to come within 5 seconds or else I did it wrong. No, it's just I understand there's some form of time, right? Whether it's a nanosecond or 1 week or 10 weeks, it doesn't matter, right? But I understand that these rules are things that really I just have to play around with, right? It's like I can walk the fine lines. So when you see that lack of message, you see that lack of movement, whatever it is, right? Just like I went back to when I saw myself as a homeless person in my mind, you have to now start practicing seeing yourself, the way that you prefer, right? But more importantly, it's the same way that I kind of saw myself. Even though I saw myself homeless, I wasn't looking at how I would rather be, but I'm more so focused on what meaning am I giving this, right? Like what is my stance as the creator when I look at the scary negative thing, right? So when you're doing that, that's what I want you guys to practice, okay? So number one is make sure you're not waiting for movement, right? Make sure you're not sitting there hoping that, oh my God, I hope this all changes and I'm just gonna do techniques and one day it's gonna change and just pretty much it's like you're not in conviction, right? That doesn't sound like someone that is really living as you know, a human aspect of the creator, right? As the creator in human form. It doesn't sound like someone that's powerful and knows that they reflect what they want, right? But you know what does sound powerful? Someone who goes, I know I'm going to get what I want. I know that the world reflects me. I know that everything revolves around me, right? As you know, as crazy as that sounds, but yeah, it does revolve around me. In my reality, yes, the world does revolve around me. And I also understand that there's a certain time for me to receive things. So when you combine all this and you combine the practice of not going back to that crappy, you know, the lack you, the one that's waiting, the one that's hoping for change versus, you know, you go to the version of you that understands you're just patiently relaxing until the 3D catches up, right? It's as if you know a dirty little secret that no one does. And it's when you start doing those things, right? And you start changing the habit of waiting from a place of chaos versus waiting from a place of understanding it's already happened. It's already yours. And you're just allowing the 3D to catch up as the creator. You're not sitting there as a human saying, I hope the world changes. I can't wait until it happens. And maybe one day it'll be sooner than later, right? You don't sit there like that. I like for me personally, when I begin consciously manifesting something, I understand that as soon as I begin the work, my job is to stay true to my new assumption. It's every time I think about that desire, what is the outcome I want? That is the thing I accept then and there in that moment. And I understand that until the next time I'm in the mood to do it again, I'm not contradicting myself. I'm not going to use my eyes to then look at my 3D and then feel bad about myself. Why? Because I understand that that thing I'm looking at is my old me. It's created through my old beliefs, the old version of me, right? It's my past self that I'm looking at. So when I don't see the movement, I don't see the job promotion, I don't see the money, whatever it may be, I understand if I'm sitting there waiting and I'm hoping for the best and I'm entertaining the good and the bad, you know, over and over and over again, and more so the bad, and I'm sitting there still waiting for things to change while I'm focusing the bad, then I'm screwed. But when I begin understanding that, just like when I saw myself in that negative light, as I mentioned, right, with the homeless example, I chose to not react to it. I chose to not be afraid. I chose to not accept it and to feel the reality of that, right? Because think about it. How easy would it be to feel homeless? Like, think about it. Like, really, like, this is the same thing as getting into the wish fulfilled. I'll show you how easy it is to embody a state. So if I picture myself being homeless, right, I don't got to do a visual. Like right now I have the thought in my head with my eyes open, right? There's like a little picture. It's hard to explain. It's like in the back of my head, and it's very gray, and I just see myself like kind of sitting down, like, you know, knees kind of close to my chest. And it's like that little picture of it, right? And that to me implies I'm homeless. So right then and there, I can choose to accept what I think it would feel like if that was actually my life. And when I really contemplate that, you know, for just 1 second, it's more so of like scared. Honestly, I would feel scared. I would feel scared and like kind of stuck. Like what do I do next? And to be honest, just thinking of that, I kind of feel like like right here, it's like a little it's like a like pressure, it's not anxiety, but it kind of feels like it's leading towards that. But do you understand? It's that easy to start accepting things. It's because when I let my mind accept these things, because I know that I can feel any reality I want. I know that I can accept that I'm homeless if that's what I want to manifest, right? So for me, it's so simple because I go by the rules. And I know for a fact I'm connected to all these lives. So it's so easy for us to accept a new state. When I start contemplating these things and I start really just like letting that state wash over me and that thought of me being homeless, right? Of that scary thing I would never manifest, I can accept it as easily as I can deny it. You see it right then and there. And like right now, it's like now that I'm not really focusing on it or talking about it, like in other words, trying to accept it, I notice that it's kind of like dissolving, this like anxiety type of feeling in my chest, right? I still have a little feeling in my knot, like a knot in my stomach a bit, because of course, for a split second, I just accepted like the horrible outcome, right? And that goes to show you don't have to sit there and close your eyes and like meditate and do all this stuff. You don't have to do any of that if you don't want to, right? It goes to show you can accept things about yourself while talking, while recording YouTube videos, while your eyes are open, guys. It's all things that you can do. And as you saw the process, I'm thinking about it, right? I'm contemplating it. I'm really experiencing, you know what, like what would it be like if I was actually homeless? And right away, fear was the first thing that popped in my head. And I accepted that fear. And the same way I accepted it, you can do the opposite, right? And just like I could see myself now, and even though I know in my bank account, I know what savings I have, I know what luxuries I have, right? I know what I can afford. and I see that picture, and I look at it from the conviction of what I have right now, it's impossible for me to feel that way. But more importantly, it's impossible for me to feel negative knowing the law. So, that being said, that's what this video is about. It's just about understanding. I don't want you guys sitting there waiting for your desire to just show up. I don't want you just doing stuff and then, mental diet gone to crap and then just, where is it? Why is it not here? It doesn't work like that, guys. You have to practice looking at the scariest things in your 3D and understanding that your reaction to them is in other words, your consent. It's your acceptance. It's you saying, give me more of this. I want more of this because this is who I say I am. And guess what? You're going to reflect it. And then you're going to wonder, why is it not working? I've done so many techniques. It's been weeks, it's been months, it's been years. Why is it not working? But you guys fail to realize that you guys are putting such importance on these. And by the way, it's not just your physical facts, it's the imaginal facts as well, right? It's these little acts that you have in your mind that you give such power to as well, right? Think about it. All of you manifesting an SP, if you didn't get a message yesterday or today, who says you can't feel loved? Who? Like, tell me. Who has a gun to your head saying you cannot feel loved? Right now, you cannot feel what you think it would feel like if they wrapped their arms around you and kissed you on the cheek and told you that you were the most pretty or the most handsome person in the world, right? Like, no one can tell me that it's impossible to, for 1 second, feel what it would feel like if that happened, right? And if you can't, I'm telling you, it's yourself that's stopping you, right? So understand, you can accept whatever you want without needing the evidence of it, right? Because it's all in here. It's always been in here. Your whole world is literally a reflection of you. When you understand this, and you understand that instead of looking at your 3D and looking at the stuff in your mind that scares you and then reacting to it, and now you're sitting there waiting for it to change and waiting for the better to come, you're manifesting more lack, right? And which then leads you to leave more comments on videos. It leads you to buy coaching. It leads you to do all this stuff, right? And same thing goes, but the opposite, right? I can choose to now, and by the way, you guys can choose. I shouldn't say I, because I already know this, but it's you guys can choose, to understand, okay, what's the thing that scares you the most, right? This is an exercise you can all do. What's the thing that scares you the most, right? Whether it's SP leaving you, them never coming back, being broke, da-da-da. You're allowed to actually pick, like, you can picture that right now if you wanted to, or pause this video and picture that, right? And just practice not reacting to it. Just practice observing and not reacting. When you do that, you're literally looking at life through the eyes of the law, because you're understanding that I don't have to accept this as fact. You're now living by the rules. You're now living as the creator, as a human aspect of God, right? Because think about it. Would the creator, look at those things that bother you and feel the way you feel, right? Would they feel like a victim? No, right? Would they be sitting there playing with their thumbs like, oh, I'm just waiting, I hope it changes. This bad stuff happened and I'm just doing techniques and I really hope this changes it. No. Instead, what would they do? Instead, they understand in this world there are rules. There are, the 3D delay, which is there for our protection, right? Seth goes into detail on this. There's gravity we got to deal with. There's certain things we got to play by, right? And God knows that these rules are here. So of course, we're going to play the game. We're going to understand, okay, we'll play the 3D delay game. So in other words, it's my job is to be in harmony with the thing I want and, do that over and over again and not really stray away from it, and then I'll get it, right? Because think about it, you have to be in harmony with whatever it is you want. So ask yourself, is the way you're feeling and the way you're going on about your life regarding your desires, does it sound or feel like someone that's in harmony with having their desire, that's in harmony with being the person that knows they're going to get it? And if the answer is no, then you already know you're off the right track. Like, you're not on the right track, right? So I want you guys to really understand, it's not about doing techniques to force a result and then waiting for them and then watching all the crap, go wrong and all the negative thoughts in your mind and then reacting to them, but then still, hoping for the best. It's not about that. That's the kind of waiting I don't teach. And like I mentioned, the waiting I do teach is looking at things from the eyes of the creator, right? If you know that everything has a delay, if you know that there is nothing that can stop you, if you know that everything reflects you, then you have to understand, okay, my future experiences will be based off what I'm doing continually. And if I'm doing this continually, then I'm doing it right. And if I'm doing it right, and I'm living by the rules, and right, I'm living by the law, then what do you have to fear? Nothing. What you do is that's the waiting you are in. You just patiently understand it's all going to change. But because you understand it's going to change, something, at least even me when I said that, right? Even I have small goals here and there that I work towards, and sometimes I get a big one if I'm inspired, right? But, I've got most of the things that I want, and I'm still working towards other things behind the scenes. But even for when I said that, it got me feeling relief, right? Because it made me think of my goals. And right then and there, I just identified, I just entered that state of having for that moment in time. And that's the beauty of it. You guys have seen me twice now fulfill myself, one good and one bad, right? And it just goes to show that's how easy it is, right? That's why it's so easy for us to struggle with mental diet, because it's so easy to feel bad. But at the same time, it's just as easy to feel good, right? It's just as easy to fulfill ourselves, regardless of what you think, regardless of how hard you think it is, right? Think about it. It's only hard for you to feel fulfilled, for you to identify with having, or to at least know that it's coming, if you are choosing to make it difficult. And you might be thinking, oh my God, that's so stupid. Like, how does that make sense? Like, no, duh, of course. But here's the reasoning. Who is forcing you to find it hard? Who is stopping you for 1 second in your life? So there's 24 hours in a day. I'm asking you for 1 second of those 24 hours, right? Of 60 seconds in a minute, there's only one. And then imagine, 24 hours, there's a lot of seconds in a day. I'm asking you for one. How can you not feel loved if it's love that you're manifesting? How are you going to tell me that you as a human cannot for 1 second feel loved at will, right? You can all do this. I refuse to believe people who say, I can't feel. I just don't know how to feel. I don't believe it. I really don't believe it. Honestly, it's your assumptions. It's your story. It's yourself blocking yourself, right? We can all feel whatever. When you were a kid and you wanted a toy, you felt excited at the thought of getting it. It's the same concept, right? Instead of being excited at the thought of getting it, it's the same thing, but you know you're going to get it, right? It's not the, oh, I hope I get it and now I'm excited. No, it's you know you're going to get it, so you should be excited, right? And that's what I wanted you guys to kind of take away from this video. It's honestly, it's so funny. Right now I'm looking, it's 27 minutes, this video. And I told myself I'm only going to make it 15. And every damn time I tell myself it's going to be a 50-minute video because I want to release more shorter videos, it always turns to double. So that being said, I tried to keep it shorter, guys. But as you know me, it's like I can't just say, okay, guys, just get into the state. Just don't worry, the 3D is going to reflect and just return to the law. Like, it's so easy to just say that, but I know that's not enough for you guys. I know that you guys need answers. I know you guys need the nitty-gritty. I know you need examples. You need the in between the lines, right? And that's what I feel, we could use more of, right? And that's what I bring to the table. So that being said, if you stayed here the whole time listening, I love you all very much. And I hope that this video kind of clicked for you in some aspect. I hope that it gave you a different perspective, or at the very least inspiration for the week, right? Just understand nothing is beyond you, right? Nothing can happen to you unless you consent to it. That means the good or the bad. You have to understand that your life is a consistent cycle of choices. And it's the choices that you make consistently that will end up becoming your experiences. So if you want to change your life, start changing what you experience within yourself. And I'm telling you, this is not bullshit. This is not, some magic crap or some scam. Because trust me, if this was a scam and this didn't work, this would have been debunked centuries ago. There's a reason why there's so many success stories out in the world, and there's no reason why you can't be one, okay? So just remind yourself that everything is within you. It always has been. And no matter what you do, always trust your inner world more than your outer world. That being said, I love you guys very much. Have yourself a wonderful week. And I want you guys to also remember, before I go, by the way, I just forgot to also remember that it's not the time you should be afraid of. It's not anything you should be. To be honest, you shouldn't be afraid of anything, right? But specifically, it's not the time that you should be afraid of, right? Instead, what you should be focusing on is your acceptance, right? Is have the last 3 times I thought about my desire, have I accepted that it was mine? And if the answer is no, then you already know what work to start doing, right? Start practicing accepting it. Start practicing reacting to things that you don't care about. Start practicing using those imaginal facilities, right? Practice using your feelings, right? Don't be afraid of it. Dr. Joseph Murphy goes into this, even Joe Dispenza as well. But Murphy, who was taught by Abdullah, who was in the same class as Neville Goddard, in other words, the same mentor as Neville Goddard, same thing. The images, the thoughts, and the feelings, they all play a role in creating. I'm not a big fan of saying, thoughts, feelings don't create, and feelings don't help. They don't help to manifest. You don't need them to manifest. you know, of course you don't need feelings, but I mean, every source teacher and great agrees feelings play a big ass role, because how can you feel, you know, in other words, like if you're rich, right? How can you feel rich and then be broke? It makes no sense, right? And same thing, if you're broke and you're constantly, you know, feeling broke, how can you be rich, right? It's the same concept. So, you know, I just want you to realize it's all within you. That's the whole point of all this. It's all within you, and that's what this video is for. So that being said, thank you everyone for listening. You know, sorry for the random tangents and stuff like that. I get so much inspiration when one thing leads to another. It just opens up like 20 doors for me, and it's exciting for me to kind of give you guys information, because I'm kind of doing this from a point of view of what I wish I had, you know, when I was in your shoes, right? So that's why I think a lot of you guys connect with how I teach, is because, you know, I'm kind of answering the questions I had to myself, but in front of a camera. And I'm also, you know, and luckily it's the same things that you guys are going through, right? And at the same time, I look at all my clients, I look at my viewers, and I look at other people's videos, and I see specific things that everyone's struggling with. And that's why I make certain videos for certain weeks, because if there's a lot of struggle in one area one week, I'll attack it, right? I'm not afraid of dealing with those subjects. So thank you very much if you listened this far. I love you all very much, and have yourself a wonderful rest of the week, and stay safe. And remember, guys, it's always been within you. Nothing has ever been a part of you, okay?